Hi there, I'm Denise Plant. Thank you so much for watching Great Day Colorado. Let's face it, with the cold weather outside, there's no better time to get cozy and read a great book. There's a new book out today, and you should read it the next time you sit down and relax. It's called Tell Me What You Did. Dun, dun, dun. It's a new thriller book that incorporates different multimedia elements that makes it unlike any other story. And here to tell us more about it is USA Today best-selling author Carter Wilson. Welcome into the show.
Thanks, Denise.
And you're local. You're from Colorado, which is cool.
Erie.
So we're very lucky to have him. This is the very first day that Tell Me What You Did dropped. It also has an audio book. This is your 10th standalone thriller.
That's right.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so Tell Me What You Did essentially follows the story of 30-year-old Poe Webb, and she's the host of the top-ranked true crime podcast in the country. And basically the conceit of the podcast is people call in and anonymously confess crimes that they committed in the past. And if she believes them, then they just kind of have a conversation about the criminal mind. But it takes a turn when a caller calls in and confesses to having killed Poe's mother. So it begins this cat and mouse between Poe and this podcast caller. Was her mother murdered? Is this the guy who did it? And what is Poe hiding in her own past that she has to confess to?
Oh my gosh, it's intense.
It's dark.
So how do you come up with this? And what's more important, is it the plot or is it the character first?
I mean, honestly, I think it's emotion. I think emotion trumps everything. So when I sat down to write this book, I didn't know what it was going to be about. I just knew it was going to be angry. I just had this angry sense about this book. So I kind of took it from that space. And my buddy Blake kind of mentioned to me about a podcast about people who leave apologies on a voicemail. And I immediately thought, well, what if it was an apology? What if it was a confession? So that's all it started with. And I don't outline, so that's all I knew. It was going to be angry and it was going to be about a podcast.
Oh my gosh. And I know the book just dropped today, but I already can see a movie being made out of this book.
Cross your fingers.
Oh, I'm telling you, this is intense. And speaking of that, you've done something that's really unique. You have made it multimedia. I'm trying to find one now, QR codes like this, you can see. And why did you include that? And tell me what it's about.
So it's mostly for my own amusement, but I was writing this book and Poe, the character, she records herself on her conversations on her podcast with her own iPhone. And I just wanted to see what that looked like. And so I reached out to this very talented actor, Rebecca Kennedy, and asked her if she would record a few scenes for me. And she knocked it out of the park. And so I'm like, I have to do something with this.
Yes.
So my editor let me put QR codes in the book.
That's so brilliant.
So you can see the scene you just read.
Oh I've never heard of something like that before. That is so brilliant. You also teach writing. Is that true?
Yep. I have a company called Unbound Writer, and I do retreats. And I mean, I've been doing this I've been writing for 20 years, so I've learned a few things over time. So I just help aspiring writers who have struggles or just questions to ask, and I can point out the mistakes I made along the way. So I just love working with other writers.
I always think to myself, ooh, that would make a good book, but I don't know how to do it. If somebody wants to get involved, how can they reach out to you and take that class?
Yeah, just unboundwriter.com.
Okay,
unboundwriter.com.
And then tell me a little bit more about your podcast. I mean, you do like everything. You also host another podcast, right?
Yeah, and I love talking to writers. So it's a podcast called Making It Up, where I just do deep dive interviews on other writers about their journey, the publication process, and at the end of each episode, we make up a story together using a random sentence from a random book, and we just crossfire, make up a story out of the blue.
And what's the name of that podcast?
Making It Up.
Making It Up. And is this also an audiobook?
It is, yep, also out today.
Gosh, you guys have to get this. Tell Me What You Did. Dun, dun, dun. I can't help but do that afterwards. It's by Carter Wilson. It's out now, so go ahead and grab yourself a copy. And check out his book signing event tomorrow. It's at the Tattered Cover on Colfax at 6 p.m. Get your tickets now on Eventbrite. That's Eventbrite. And thanks so much for coming in, Carter.
Such a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Denise.